One thing I wanted to bring up today is how close we all are to where you think you're not. I get I get responses or emails and comments quite a bit, and quite often people are sharing their experiences, which is great because it gives both of us more insight. Um, we all have unique ways of getting in touch with what some people would call the other side or other places, but they all kind of come together. We all utilize maybe a different method, but that doesn't mean they're so foreign to each other. They all kind of they all kind of get us to the same place, but we use little different methods for it, and that's great. Sometimes you just need to find that. But what you will find is, and I think what most people will agree with, is what we do find is not really, I mean, one of the comments was, well, what do I do with this? Exactly. Exactly. You've got this information or you've got these experiences, and what the hell you do with it? Which comes to a point of, I've spent a lot of time um, with these experiences, with my explorations, and then a lot more time just sitting down and figuring out, okay, what did this mean? Um, what use does this have? And what do I do with this? And when it comes down to it, I would say, yeah, the experiences, most of them are pretty cool. They're unique. But is it really much more beneficial than sitting and watching the Nature Channel and seeing different places, or watching a alien show? That's what you kind of have to look at. You're like, is this shit really? I mean, is it getting me anywhere? Am I getting anything out of it? And that's why I had to dig deeper through through my experiences to try to get to the bottom of it. And I think what a lot of times we get to these places, or these what we consider places, which are just basically right here, we make these connections, and we don't get enough information really to base anything on. If you have a couple of them, and if you just see the portals like maybe a couple other people have seen, well, what do I do with it? Well, it's an experience, and if I see foreign languages, what's that mean for me? It doesn't mean anything. I mean, what good is it for you? So I think there's multiple levels, like whether it's the alternate realities where you're in another life, or whether you contact within another life, and you're already in the process of it going on. It's like jumping in the middle of somebody's day and trying to figure it out, somebody you don't know. So we've got that, we've got the portals, and then the other thing is the other dimensions. Kind of the same thing. It's like, okay, you experience these, but it doesn't give you any beneficial information. So I've come to the conclusion is, I stopped for a while because I thought, is it just me, or this shit is kind of a waste of time? Because I mean, it's great to get to have the opportunity to do this, but after some time you're like, okay, I'm constantly getting this information that's useless, really. I mean, I could get this in a daily life of anybody else if I just wanted to jump in the middle of their day. So, and it's not like I can choose who I want to jump into or whatever. It's just like you end up somewhere. So I tell people, I go, you know what? At this point, I've come to the conclusion. That's why I came up and made the video, The Solution. The solution is the way for us to escape this prison. We can get out and see other things, but there's nothing beneficial there. I mean, you put forth all this effort and you put forth all this time and you make these connections, which you can. It proves to you that you have the ability to do that. It proves to you that there is more out there than us. So that kind of gives us an insight on what's going on with the portals I can see out there. So what it does is it expands my horizons and gives me hope that there's more. Obviously, there is more, and you begin to learn and absorb more. And it's probably based a little bit upon those experiences. So don't just think they're a complete waste of time. because they do have some benefit. But you can't look at them as, oh, I'm taking this as golden information, or this is just like groundbreaking. No, because you have to look at it much deeper than what it really is. So that's why I say move towards a solution. We need to take our energy back and get in control of the situation and get in control of what is here. Because we've obviously been duped. We've obviously been trapped. We are trapped. And it is our responsibility, now that we know there's more out there, to bring the system down and to free ourselves from this trap, because it's only going to keep getting worse. And that's the issue. When people say, well, how come it's just not so obvious? Well, if you were going to trap somebody, would you really make it obvious? No, you're not going to make it obvious. And what you want to do is just pile on a bunch of religious beliefs and religious texts and all different types of religions, so everybody can just jump from one to the other, and all different types of belief systems. And then we're going to create more metaphysical and spiritual stuff, and then really push it so that it's published and that more people gravitate to it, because it's more easy to accept, because it's because you don't have to do anything. We just want to make it or put you in the wrong direction. We're going to promote our own stuff, not the stuff that really works. And the stuff that does work, we'll downplay it, and it'll be the minimal, so not many people will follow it. So we've got a lot of levels of manipulation going on, and if it was straightforward then and easy to understand or easy to figure out, then they wouldn't be good at their job. If you want to keep somebody under control, you're going to lock them in a closet. You're not going to give them any information or anything that could potentially help them get out. You're going to keep fostering the fact that, you need to be here and you need to play along, and whether you got to threaten them or whatever, or make their life miserable, that's what you got to do. So that's what's happening now. We're under the spell. We're under the illusion. We're being kept there. We're being fostered with that. And the experiences are great. It's good to have them, especially when you first start having them. It's a big deal. But then, like I revisit them at times, and then I realize it's the same. It's not the same, but I already know kind of what's going to happen when it comes down to it. And I can already foresee that when it's done, there's not going to be anything useful there. Yeah, I can still make the connection. I can still do this. But we're very limited in the way, at least I am, in the way that I can maneuver through it. It's easier to make the connection, obviously, since I've been doing it for a long time. But I wouldn't say that it's all really worthwhile. I do other things in the background with the dream state and that sort of thing. And I work with some other stuff. But the whole thing is I'm trying to get to a point of getting out. And that's why I work on things involving the solution, because I need to point my energy in a direction that's going to be the most beneficial. And I've already determined over many decades that if I keep following the path that I was on, where I'm just doing the portals and I'm just doing the glimpses and that sort of thing, I'm not going to get anywhere. Because I know now what the whole gamut of what's going on around me. So now that I have refined the solution, I keep working on it, and I still keep refining my methodology and my methods of how I do it, how I take back the energy, how I'm going to, do different things, whether dispose of what I'm working with or whatever. You kind of have to work out that as you go. If you've got questions, ask me, and I'll tell you, and I'll give you an example of what I found in that situation. Because as I move along, sometimes you might find little snags, or you might find things, well, this doesn't work that well, but this really does work that well, so I'm using this. So you want to compare notes or whatever, that's great. But that's where my focus is pinpointed on, because if I focus on all this other crap that's around me, like, politics and all this kind of stuff, all it does is it just takes your attention away from what really matters. Like for instance, if you were going to work towards getting a job at this company, then you would do your research, and you would have your background in whatever their specialty was and that sort of thing. You would focus on that. But if you focus on all the other things, then it's not going to get you any closer to that. So you need to pinpoint your focus on what your goal is versus allowing everything around you, the game and all the drama and everything, to infiltrate your life and to keep redirecting you in all these different directions. You have to set your sights, set your goal, and just work towards that goal. And the more you put into it, the more you'll get out of it, and the more successful you will become in doing what you're doing. Because if you just do it like, like, oh, I'm gonna spend 5 minutes doing it this week, and then maybe next week I'll spend another 3 or 4 minutes, and that's what you're gonna get out of it. So that's why I have to, and I'm just as guilty as everybody else is. I have to take the time and do it. Most of the time, it's easiest for me before bed, after I wake up, and those situations where I have a lot of time to really focus my attention. There's no outside activity going on. It's quiet, and I can do that. And that for me works really well. So, and I also pick times during the day when it's quiet and there's not a lot of activity going on. I turn, put my phone on silent, and then I just focus on what I'm doing. And at times I feel like I was real successful at certain times, and other times I didn't feel like I made as much headway as I hoped for. But it's going to be like that sometimes. But you have to, like I said, take the time and do it. And if you don't make the time, then it's never going to happen.